everybody? Welcome to the T-Table. Today I'm going to go over a Lost Zone deck. I played this last weekend to win an event, a local win-a-case event. I did go undefeated, and two of my friends, Wesley Dong and Kevin Kenny, also made top 8 with the deck. Between the three of us, we only lost one match, so that was pretty sick. We're going to look at it, look what's really cool about the deck. Obviously, you can see some things, what each attacker might be for, and some of the strategies that we use during the event. So we're going to start with Comfey, obviously. If you're playing a Lost Zone deck, Comfey is in your deck. Once your turn, look at top 2 cards of your deck. One in your hand, one in the Lost Zone. So your thing you want to do is you want to chain it with your Escape Robe, Switch Cart, Scoop Up Nets, 2 or 3 turn 1. Hopefully you can pair with Colress. And you get 5, 6 cards in the Lost Zone. I did have one game where I got 7 cards in the Lost Zone turn 1 and was able to attack with Kyogre, which we will talk about in a moment. You got Cramorant if you have 4 more cards in the Lost Zone. Attacks are free, 110 is great. If you go second in the mirror and you can get a turn 1 Cramorant and take the first prize, it's actually pretty cool. It can help with your Sableye math later and all those things. Speaking of Sableye, I do have 1 Sableye, scratch for 20. And then if you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, put your 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. Really good 1 prizer. 12 adds up, really, depending on especially what the deck is, or 12 just helps you set up knockouts for later in the match. So then we got Radiant Greninja, only one of those Radiant Pokemon in your deck. Discard energy, draw 2 cards. And we can use Moonlight Shuriken, which I did use a couple times. Discard 2 energy, does 92 their Pokemon. So, I mean, you got a bunch of the energy, but you see you have enough ways to recover. And since there's no, like, Professor's Research or stuff like that, you don't really have a draw engine. Like, you have Colress Experiment. That's your engine, kind of. So, yeah, you definitely need the Greninja, and it does help spread damage. Then we got a Manaphy over here. Prevent all damage on your bench Pokemon with Lugia variants playing Raikou, Amazing Raikou. Plus, you got other decks that might play Greninja, and various other spread cards that you might be seeing in the meta. Reggie's Manaphy is a no-doubter for me, inclusion in my decks. So let's start running down the rest of the Pokemon. We got Amazing Rayquaza, so it takes 3 different energy. But the really cool part about this deck is you play Mirage Gate, so once you have 7 cards in Lost Zone, search for 2 basic energy different types and taps on your Pokemon. Amazing Rares were like some foreshadowing or something. They were all very bad, and now they're all insane. So discard all basic energy from this Pokemon. It does 80 for each one. So we have 6. So we can do 480. It's not hard to power up with the Mirage Gate attached return. That's 240 already. And depending on what else is in your deck, with Raihan or something, you can just do 320 and get a knockout super fast. We do have a Zigzagoon, which actually fixes that math. I did play against Duraludon round 1. And I had the 4 energy on Rayquaza, popped the Zigzagoon down, hit him for 320, and got the knockout. So we have Raikou V. It is in here for Lugia to help you get the first knockout, to get the first Lugia out of the way, or the last one, depending how the game plays out. Its ability fleet-footed once on your turn. If it's in the active, draw a card, and then 20 plus 20 for each bench. So I did have a play against Lugia. They didn't bench the Dunsparce because they didn't know I played the Raikou. And then I was like, Raikou, Raihan, attached, knockout. Forced them to change up their strategy, got me back in the lead, because then I could just knock them out with my 1 prizers, and it was pretty good from there. And don't underestimate the ability to draw 1 card. Then we have Amazing Rare, Kyogre here. 80 to all your opponent's Pokemon. Alright, so this card, I put this card in the deck because I'm like, this is how we beat Reggie's. So, you hit them with the $80 Pokemon, right? They knock out Kyogre. Okay. Now, if they do not scoop up any of their Pokemon, and you can attack with Kyogre the next turn, you are just taking 6 prizes. So, my friend Kevin Kenny, he did do a turn where he took 6 prizes against Reggie's. It's really cool. And also, I had a game against Lugia where I was able to Greninja onto 2 Archeops to put him in 90, and then next turn, Kyogre to take out Archeops, and Dunsparce, which also allowed me to put 80 on a Crobat. So next turn, I was able to knock out the Crobat with Sableye and set up the rest of the board. So no matter what my opponent did, I was able to get the win next turn. This card's really cool. It started off as, oh, we should just play for Reggie's, and then it's actually turned out to be really good. I did this also in the game where I had turn 1 Mirage Gate. I was able to take 3 prizes with it, knocking out Sableye, Comfey, and Comfey. Obviously, that's the dream hand where you get turn 1, but it was really cool. And that card ended up living for like 2 or 3 turns, so I just ended up putting so much damage on the board. And our final Pokemon here is going to be Ditto from Pokemon Go. So the reason I put this in the deck is to save myself an Ordinary Rod. Because you have 1 Kyogre, 1 Sableye, and 1 Rayquaza. So its ability, you can easily attack the base Pokemon in your discard pile, except for Pokemon with the rule block, so you cannot use Raikou or Greninja. And so you just have to have the energy. So I was able to do 400 to Duraludon with this by copying Rayquaza, and then I did win a game with Ditto copying Kyogre out of nowhere. I think it just saves you having to put stuff back with Ordinary Rod, and I liked it as one of Sableye, boom, next turn. Oh, look, it's another Sableye, basically. I really liked it. It really impressed me. It's interesting that most Lost Box decks don't play them. I guess because they play the regular. They don't play a lot of different attackers. It's just like Sableye and Charizard, which they can't copy anyway. But Ditto really impressed me. So if you're doing a toolbox thing like that, I would definitely recommend a Ditto in your list. So then we got 4 Battle VIP Pass. Obviously, you can only play it on your first turn. You search for 2 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. Pretty simple. Other than that, hopefully it's your other card with Comfey and you can just put it in the Lost Zone. We got an Energy Recycler. Shuffle up to 5 basic energy card from your discard pile back in your deck with Rayquaza. Discarding all your energy when you attack. You definitely need this. I was thinking about going up to 2. Not sure yet, but this card was Wesley and Mr. Bean on Twitter. Definitely both said, hey, you should probably play this card. And it was really good because it saved me many times after I had to put 4 energy on Kyogre, or I had to do like a really big 4 energy Rayquaza. And I was like, well, there's all my energy. We're good. We got the escape rope. And then we got 3 switch cards. So this switches your active with 1 on your bench and heal 30 from that Pokemon, and then this makes you both switch. I had 4 switch cards in here, then I did go to 1 escape rope, 3 switch card. I'm not sure which is better. I think if you're like, oh, everybody's going to play weird Empoleon and Weezing things, you just go with the escape rope. But switch card is really good. It can mess up their Sableye math for later in games if they're trying to set up like a double knockout in mirror type matches. Then we got the 2 Ordinary Rod, shuffle 2 Pokemon discard pile, and 2 basic energy. Obviously, pretty self-explanatory on that one. Helps you recycle. We got the 4 Quick Ball. Some decks do play 3. I need 4 because sometimes I got a Ditto on the field already, or I opened Ditto, and I want something to discard pile. Very easy to do that. We got the 4 Scoop Up Net. Obviously, it helps you recycle your Pokemon. The only Pokemon you can't pick up in this deck is Raikou. So it lets you do multiple Zigzagoons. Sometimes I had a Greninja like twice in a turn, so like, alright, whatever. Obviously, it helps you with the Comfeys, making a train out of those abilities and stringing them together. Pretty cool. Then we move on to stadiums. 1 Lost City. So, Lost City is what you can do. So, if your opponent's playing Manaphy down, you can just Sableye the Manaphy and send it to the Lost Zone. So, just know your Sableye will probably go to the Lost Zone, but that does free you up for a big Kyogre attack, which can swing the game severely. So, don't drop this unless you kind of need to. Like, if you can't really get a knockout, don't play because you don't want to lose your stuff. But I had a game against Lost Zone. They didn't have a great start. They opened Cramorant and benched Sableye and passed, and I was able to knock out the Sableye on the bench and send that to the Lost Zone. And they only played 1, so that was really insane for the rest of the game. Very underrated card. Also, if you do the Kyogre thing against Regis, and you don't take 6 prizes, hey, just put like 4 Regis in the Lost Zone. Also really cool. We got the 1 Training Court. Once during each player's turn, them put a basic energy card from this card in their hand. It helps out just to get, because you have 2 of everything. So, it definitely helps you get back. You're like, alright, which one's in my deck? Which one's in the Lost Zone? Oh, I only have 1 in my deck. It's right there. Helps you get it back pretty easy. We got the 4 Colress Experiment. Pretty much staple. You have to play in the Lost Zone deck. Look at the top 5. Take 3. 2 in the Lost Zone. Pretty good there. Obviously, sometimes you'll have 5 good cards. This is where the decisions are tough. Your Comfey, Colress decisions. Your turn 1 could just decide the whole game. You're like, oh, my Energy Recycler and Kyogre are the top 2, and then you have to be like, alright, is the Kyogre game or not? You know, you may not have a lot of information. Those kind of things for sure. Sometimes it's too basic energy. Like, it's just how it works out. I understand that's how it be sometimes, but that's why I think these are really cool and have a lot of things you have to think about, because you never know. Like, which one's good. Your turn 1, like, Comfey choice could affect turn 6, but you don't know that yet, because you're not at turn 6. And then we got Raihan. So Raihan sets this deck up really cool. So basically, obviously, I actually went for Raihan. So things are going to get knocked out pretty easily. So I will give you an example of how a game was won. So I had Kyogre. I attack. It's knocked out. I'll bring up my Ditto, right? Like, oh, there's no energy on my Ditto. I got to get 4. Easy. I Raihan. Attach an energy. Get what I'm missing. So if I need the Mirage Gate in my hand, or I need to put energy back, you know, whatever piece you're missing. Cool. Mirage Gate. Attach the 2 energy. And then I just have an energy in my hand, because it does take a colorless for the last one. Attach. 4 energy in 1 turn. That's how I got a Rayquaza knockout as well. I was like, Raihan fighting, search for lightning metal, or I'm sorry, lightning grass, had like a training court, got back metal, attached 320 with the Zigzagoon, 330. That's why I want 4 Raihans. I think it's really cool. And it sets you plays up so much. Also want a Silene to get back these, but I've actually never needed all 4. Like, you need all 4, but I don't think I've ever had to play all 4 in a game. So it's really cool. But the Raihan, I think, if you can find a room for 4, definitely go to 4. And then we got an Air Balloon. I opened Raikou once, and I just Air Ballooned, and when I didn't really need to Comfey, I was like, I'll just draw a card and retreat every turn. It was fine. You just kind of need an Air Balloon. It's an extra retreat thing. And then we got the 6 types. 2 of everything. I don't think one is more important than the other. You can make an argument for Lightning, because you have Raikou and the Rayquaza, but 2 of everything is good. This deck was very hard to play, because you have to, your first search is like, oh, what Pokemon? No, it's what energy are in your deck. I definitely had a game where I attached to Rayquaza, and I had no fighting energy left. Because I put him in the lost zone, or one was prize, and I didn't notice. That was on me. I should have noticed. Luckily, it didn't punish me too much in the game, because I ended up attacking with other Pokemon. But it's one of those things, and I think that's what made the deck so challenging and fun to play, because you got to think, like, when you're playing PTCGO or PTCG Live, I haven't played Live, but hopefully it's the same. When you search your deck, it's like, you can look at your whole deck, and be like, oh, I have 1 grass, 1 lightning prize. But when you're actually playing, you know, physical cards here, IRL, you got to know. Like, you got to be like, all right, my plans, Kyogre this game, are my lightning, mana, water in my deck. Like, oh, I have 1 water, and then your first Comfey's like, water Colress. And you're like, all right, air, we have to Kyogre, so I have to not take the Colress. And it's just how it works sometimes. I think that's what makes the deck really challenging, and I love it. You can play Raikou. Realistically, you can play Raikou Rosation, Amazing Rare, because you got the energy. But I think Kyogre, for the sole reason of Reggie's, and like Giratina doesn't play Manaphy, and I don't believe Lugia plays Manaphy either, so you can set up double knockouts on the Arceus and swing the match in your favor pretty easily. I love this deck. Actually, in Sunny's weekly Pokemon Gaming on Twitter, she got 8th. She went 4-2, and I also believe a variant got 2nd and 4th in that one. So go check those out. Again, I want to thank everybody who's helped, all my friends. They put up with my crazy ideas, and I appreciate them. Kenny, Kevin, Wesley, Mr. Darth Bean, I mean, Heather, Pokemon, like everyone just, I just send messages, Jeremy, I mean, Peter, I send messages, I'm like, alright guys, and they just say, you know what, sounds good to me. So, that being said, this was some Lost Box shenanigans, try Ditto. I'm Josh Hatter, this was the Tea Table. I'm on a bunch of medicine because I sprained my jaw while sleeping, and I will see you next time on the Tea Table.